Hello and welcome to the Ranch Systems YouTube channel. My name is Alex and today we will be going over virtual sensors. So first off, a virtual sensor is a sensor that uses data from a physical sensor, plugs that data into a formula to create a virtual sensor, which as you can see by this infographic, we have a couple examples here. So if you have a temperature and a humidity sensor, you can have vapor pressure deficit down here and wet bulb temperature. If you want ETO or evapotranspiration, you need a solar radiation, a temperature, a humidity, and wind speed sensor to generate ETO. And if you want to pause the video here just to take a look at this to see what gives you what, here's a moment to do that. All right, and here, let's move over to My Ranch next. So, here is a property of which I am now looking at my weather station. So this weather station is currently displaying the physical sensors. So as you can see, air temperature, humidity, wind speed, rain gauge, pyranometer. And then if I move over to virtual sensors to the right of that, up here on the top tab, I have my virtual sensors that are running off of those physical sensors that we just looked at. So we have average temperature, chilling hours, degree days, dew point, mildew index, rainfall since July 1st, and ETO. So that's how it would look. So let's move under the hood here. So on this sidebar, this little graph icon that says Analytics, I'm going to click on that. And then in this section of green boxes, we have virtual sensors. So I'm going to open that. And then I'm going to filter by the unit I was looking at. So here are all the virtual sensors I just looked at on that grid previously. So here we have the description. If I click on this blue link here, that will open up the virtual sensor. This is the parent unit, the unit that the data is coming from. This is the virtual port. This is the state, which says active. You want it to say active. If it does not say active, the virtual sensor will not be reporting. This is the current time, or the last time the sensor reported. And then the value, last value the virtual sensor reported, and then how often the virtual sensor reports in minutes. And then over here we have configure, which also opens up the sensor. We have show graph, which opens the graph of the sensor specifically. We have regenerate data points, which will recalculate the formula with the physical sensor data and regenerate your virtual sensor. And then finally we have delete for deleting the sensor. So if you want to add a virtual sensor, up here on the top, I click add. Let's pick the parent unit, the one that I was looking at. So two options here. You can either use a template of pre-created virtual sensors that are already in MyRanch. Here's a list of them. If you go here yourself, you can also see them. Or you can do advanced custom, which gives you a blank page. If you know what you're doing, if you have a formula in mind, let's say from a virtual or from a research institution or anywhere else for that matter, you can plug that into the formula box down here, which you can see the formula works. Also, if you open Formula Builder, this opens a page that will help you in creating a formula. So effectively, all it does is tell you if it works or not. So if you click validate after typing in your formula, it will tell you down at the bottom-ish, like in the middle, if the formula is going to work or not. All right, so real quick, let's just use a template. Let's just do dew point in Fahrenheit. I'm going to click autofill. So as you can see here, it made a port for me, a virtual port. Subport 0 is fine. Type, dew point, description, dew point, filled that in. So the start date and the end date, this is important. So you want the start date to be as close to when the physical station or sensors were installed, or else you're not going to get the full range of data. So if I started it here, there would be no data until it starts calculating everything. So I'm just going to set this back to 2025 towards the endish of the year. And then same with the end date. You want the end date to be pretty far in the future. 2050 is pretty far away. That's the default it's going to go to. If your end date is, let's say it was 2026 in February, this sensor would stop reporting in February. It's easily fixable though. All you need to do is just come back to this page and then increase the end date by years, put it up to 2050. And then when you regenerate it, it will still have the data from the physical sensors, so you won't lose anything. You can still have this virtual sensor generated after the fact. And then we have our data point in minutes, and here's our formula down here that it was created. So just for example, let's click on this formula builder. And then if I click on validate, formula is valid. So that works. Click cancel. And then I'm going to click add down here. So when I click add, it's going to take a second, and then you'll see that it says description, dew point, state, regenerating. So this might take a second, but once it's finished, we should have a new sensor for this unit. All right, so go back to that unit, 113, dew point in Fahrenheit, and I'm going to click on the show graph. And there it is. All right, and that about finishes it for virtual sensors. Thank you for watching.